Hello, hello, folks. Think we're gonna, allow a minute for folks to the audio to log in and all that good stuff. So we'll kick it off here in maybe 2 minutes, if that. And it's Nelson, so you're watching the folks file, and you'll just tell me when I have the green light.
Yeah, no, you've got the green light. Charge forward.
That's it. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad y'all could join us. For those who don't know me, I'm Joe Gelbach. I am RVA Rapid Transit's vice president of the board, and in my day job, I am the government affairs director. Oh, I think we got some feedback, so that brings me to my first reminder. Make sure y'all are on mute. All right, let's try again. Cool. In my day job, I am the government affairs director for the Richmond Association of Realtors. But on my free time, I get to spend with Nelson and Faith here at RVA Rapid Transit. And this is Transit Talk. This is RVA Rapid Transit's regular webinar series. And we're stoked that y'all can be here today. RVA Rapid Transit is a nonprofit dedicated to educating and advocating for frequent and far-reaching public transit across the Richmond region. And our goal is to help make it easier to get around everyday life by bus. So I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded. We will have it up on our YouTube after the event for folks who couldn't be here, or if you're super stoked and you want to watch it again. So do remember to keep yourself on mute. That way we kind of eliminate the feedback or background noise. So I appreciate that. And for Q&A, if you have questions, comments, throw them in the chat and we will make sure to draw from those at the end of Faith's presentation. And if we do happen to run out of time, we'll also follow up with folks individually afterward. So today's topic is a listening session from the Rider's Voice program. The Rider's Voice is an initiative that our Director of Community Engagement, Faith Walker, created last spring. The Rider's Voice aims to amplify the stories, experiences, concerns, and interests of everyday bus riders for better transit in the Richmond region. And for today's Transit Talk, Faith will be leading us through a listening session of some rider perspectives gathered through outreach with the Rider's Voice over this last spring and summer. But before we jump in, I'm going to give you what I hope will be a brief presentation on the state of transit, but there's been a lot going on, so bear with me. So the first thing I want to talk about is on the essential infrastructure for bus stops. As many of you know, currently only 5% of GRTC's bus stops have shelters and only 20% have benches. So expanding that essential infrastructure for our system is crucial. And on this front, at its board meeting in August, GRTC laid out a 5-year goal of increasing those numbers so that 15% of GRTC's stops would have a shelter and 35% of those stops would have a bench. And if we can hit this mark as a region, then 50% of our transit stops would afford folks a place to sit and rest as they wait for a ride. Reaching this goal requires annual funding and installing of 26 shelters, 47 benches, and 73 trash cans per year for the next 5 years, which totals to an annual cost of roughly $775,000, which might seem like a lot for you and I, but when we're talking about these budgets, it's a very attainable goal. And GRTC has similarly laid out a complementary 5-year goal of bringing up to 100% of its stops into ADA compliance. ADA compliance entails having a 5 by 8 foot concrete landing pad at the bus stop, and presently only 50% of our region's bus stop meet that criteria. GRTC estimates that it would cost roughly $3.3 million annually to reach the goal of ADA compliance, given the significant infrastructure improvements needed for stops where there are currently no sidewalks and often large ditches like the one in this photo. So it's key to note that funding for this essential transit infrastructure still needs to be secured through government resources, grants, nonprofit grants, business sponsorships, individual donors, or likely some combination thereof. On that front, RVA Rapid Transit has recently launched the Better Bus Stop program, which in part gives folks an opportunity, whether as individuals or groups, to sponsor and donate benches and shelters. If you're interested in this, please reach out to us at info@rvarapidtransit.org. Again, info@rvarapidtransit.org. In related news of having dignified places to wait for the bus, GRTC and the city's Office of Equitable Transit and Mobility are working hard on a possible new temporary transfer station at the parking lot by Richmond City Circuit Court building. Though the location for a permanent transfer station remains a need, this proposal for a temporary transfer station would not only be a significant improvement on the current temporary transfer plaza that you all know and probably hate on 9th Street, but is also coming in response to the city looking to redevelop the public safety building on 9th Street. The proposal is currently in the process before City's Urban Design Committee and in front of the Planning Commission. Next up, big news, GRTC has hired its first director of equitable innovation and legislative policy. Not that's a title. Joe Dillard Jr. began at GRTC in September, and he'll be focused on encouraging diversity, equity, inclusion throughout GRTC, while also promoting and cultivating community partnerships. Dillard most recently served as the organizational advancement officer for Hampton Roads Transit. Very excited to have Mr. Dillard on board. This is good stuff. And also on the note of hiring, please remember that GRTC is also currently looking to hire more bus operators. Like many transit agencies, and as I'm sure parents know, school systems across the country, GRTC has had a challenging time bringing on new bus operators recently. The lack of bus operators has also been one of the prime challenges to expansion of our transit network, even as funds are available through the Central Virginia Transit Authority. So we just want to highlight that GRTC is hiring, spread the word, or consider applying yourself. Next, have a few updates on service along the Route 1 corridor in Chesterfield. In super exciting news, as of September 12th, folks are now able to snag a one-seat ride on the Route 1 from Chesterfield into the city and vice versa, no longer having to transfer buses at the Food Lion at the county city line. GRTC's Route 111, which had run in Chesterfield along Route 1 to Bright Point Community College, formerly John Tyler, has now officially merged with GRTC Route 3B, which runs along Route 1 on the city's south side. On a connected front, as folks have seen in the news, this bus line along Route 1 in Chesterfield has been outperforming its expectations. This is very exciting stuff. There's even an effort afoot to extend bus service farther along Route 1 to the Greenlee Trailer Park. However, the primary roadblock to the extension is securing a location where the line could have a bus stop and a turnaround point. But super encouragingly, Chesterfield County and GRTC are working together on this front to find a solution. Next, as a reminder, GRTC's zero fare policy is continuing and currently funded through June 30th of 2022. This remains a way to keep providing financial relief for everyday bus riders, given that 54% of riders have household incomes under $25,000 and nearly 80% have household incomes under $50,000. GRTC's board voted to extend zero fare back in June. And at the end of July, Richmond City Council also passed a resolution voicing support for GRTC's zero fare program and its application for grant funding from the state to continue the pilot. However, it's key to highlight that GRTC has been using federal COVID relief funds to continue operating at zero fare. And any funding to continue zero fare after June 30th will depend on state and local support. You can also see some more of this issue in an essay that Faith and our excellent transit-friendly friend, Wyatt Gordon, wrote together for the recently released Richmond Racial Equity Essays series. And finally, just a reminder that GRTC is running for essential trips only, and the mask requirement has been extended through at least January 18th, 2022. So with that, I will turn things over to Faith for our Rider's Voice listening session.
Thank you so much, Joe, for being here today. And thank you for that news. Guys, I'm so excited to be sharing with you the conversations that are happening at the bus stops here in the Writer's Voice. And what I wanted to do now is just tell you a little bit about our aim. Again, we aim to amplify stories, experiences, and concerns and interests of everyday bus riders. And the essential goal is to make it easier to get around everyday life. And also, we're using these comments, these stories, this feedback to use at public comment during different expansion projects around the city. Also op-eds, just like the essay that was written. Some of those comments and feedback have been published in magazines, in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and different news articles throughout our region. But also some of these comments and stories have been used in different TOD studies around the area when it comes to the possibility of a north-southbound BRT happening, whether it be on Midlothian, Hall Street, or Route 1. And so what I'm excited to do is just to share with you our goal. And what I'll do now is share my screen. That will be helpful. So give me a second, guys. All right. All right, so let's get started. And so what I've learned when talking to folks in our area is speaking up about your experience and about what's important to you is an easy and effective way to create change, start conversations, and connect with people around you. And so one of the goals, or three goals I want us to have, is to see the other side of the coin. Hearing other people's stories, it challenges our own beliefs, but it also opens a lane to forge a bond. I've connected with a lot of folks, and soon we want to connect on a higher and deeper level when it comes to our Writers Council, but also forging a bond, being vulnerable leads to a deeper connection. So you'll hear a lot of vulnerable stories. And this will allow you to connect deeper to everyday writers around Richmond. But also, I want you to hear a story to inspire you to take action. And so this is a way that you can listen today. And so these are 5 ways I would encourage you to listen, pay attention, remove all distractions. If any music playing in the background, TV playing in the background, please cut it off, because I really want you to hear the stories and experiences that are taking and being shared today. Also, withhold any judgment. This is someone's personal experience, how they live, how they move throughout this world. So definitely hold no judgment, and also reflect. Imagine yourself in their shoes. Imagine yourself actually on the bus stop talking with someone, but also clarify. So maybe at the end of this, we'll be able to get some questions, or you can email me some questions. Also, if you want to listen to these comments again, I'm going to post them on our website under the the Writer's Voice, and you can actually listen again to the comments and just see if you hear something more, hear something different, or you just want some clarity. And then also summarize, take notes, write that person's name down. I guarantee you'll have a better connection once you sort of summarize on your own what they're saying, what they're feeling, and what their point is. All right, so here's some of the conversations that are happening at the bus stops. Now, these conversations are based on what's happening in our area. We'll talk about zero fare. You'll hear general concerns where people are just having a conversation, and all 3 or some of these conversations may be in one. Also, better bus stop. Joe just mentioned our program, and then the North-South BRT. So you'll hear from experiences or feedback whether or not a pulse should run on Route 1, Hall Street, or Midlothian. All right, so let's dive right into it. I'm going to start with John. This is discussion about zero fare, and I met him at Willow Lawn. And let's push play.
My name is John. I take the 19, and I feel like it should remain free. I ride it right now due to a DUI and have to get back and forth to work, so I think it should remain free. And on top of that, I have a limited budget. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that was John. He was actually on his way headed to a court date because of the DUI. And so I just learned that, a DUI can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 for someone. So he was on his way to court. All right, let's play Terrence.
My name is Terrence Bryant. I take bus routes 1C, 1A, and 1B. And I like that it's free, because at this time, I just started working, and really, if it wasn't for it being free, I wouldn't really have a ride to work. I'll probably have to walk. So, I mean, to me, that's one reason why I like the zero fare.
And so I just want to highlight too, it can take someone 3 weeks to receive their first paycheck. So hearing Terrence's story made me realize that how impactful zero fare is to someone starting a career or even maintaining employment. All right, and here is Sister Sarefa.
Yes, my name is Sister Shadarefa, and I'm speaking on concerning the bus. I've always had good service. Sometimes other customers get on and they are kind of a little fidgety, but the bus drivers has always been good to me. I've never had no problems, and I think the post bus is a blessing. And right now, it would be a blessing if they would just keep it where right now that people can afford to get on the buses until this thing is over, not just because of the COVID, because right now we're in a crisis. And so I just feel that we need to, be patient and move forward and, allow ourselves to be friendly with one another because that's very important. And so pretty much that sums it up for me.
Good words from her. And let's move on to Keon. He's in the Southside Plaza in front of the McDonald's out there.
So if I could get your name and the routes that you ride most frequently.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Keon Yoderty. I am a present driver of the GRTC every day. I take it to work, take it to the grocery store. I do it to do everything I need to do as an everyday basis. I feel that the way the economy is changing and going now, I feel like the transit should stay free because of the way the pandemic has changed the lives of the many people, not only in Richmond, but in the country. I feel that the bus line needs to stay free. That'll just help the general public as a whole, just to everybody's everyday necessities like work, taking their kids to school, picking them up, taking them to practice, just their everyday living. So I feel that the way Richmond is and how the way the pandemic has changed the city, not only in the past, present, but for the future, I feel that the GRTC transit just needs to stay free. That will not only help me, but that'll help a lot of people just to save money, being that the state minimum wage just went into effect. So that'll give people a lot more time to, just to generally save that money. So just in case the GRTC just eventually just change it to where we will have to big and we will have a set plan, people will have money in their pocket. So we will already be okay with the gesture of being that the GRTC being able to force to pay again. But I feel that for the time being, on the way the pandemic has changed us, the GRTC should, at the least for the time being, should stay free.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm also curious kind of about what your average wait time is for for the bus and like how frequently it comes. Does it come straight to your house and what sort of changes you would like to see in regards to that?
And generally speaking, from where I live, is generally no problem at all from where the bus comes. It comes to my main road, so it's generally no issue with me following. One thing I would like to see in the morning, sometimes, being that I do work in the morning, sometimes there's an issue with the bus, and sometimes it doesn't show. And I would just like for GRTC just to look into those aspects for not just me, but a lot of people who do work in the morning, and we do have that issue. Mostly people who live on the east end and south side, being that a lot of us have to get up in the morning, and those buses come a lot frequently. People who live on the east end and people who live in the south side, being that those routes are so long, so a lot of those routes generally do come early in the morning.
Also, is this you?
No, ma'am. I have all the time in the world. I'm off today, so how the GRTC has changed over time. So I just feel that GRTC just need to look to some of those issues for the morning routes. Some routes I feel should be a little longer for those who generally work second and third shift, especially those who get off work later in the night between 10 and 12. Some routes should extend to at least one more trip for those who might be getting off a little later than they normally should. So I feel that is another issue that GRTC should look into. That I feel that GRTC can do to just not only help their company, but just to help the general public. So, you know, it's a process. Everything does not happen just in 24 hours.
Right, right. I'm also, and then I'll stop asking you
No,
questions
you're
and we can
fine.
just
Well,
start.
you're no problem.
How long have you been riding the bus for? And what sort of changes have you seen like throughout your time with the introduction of the Pulse, if you were here before that or whatever?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Richmond, so I grew up on the bus my entire life. I've seen a lot of the changes, even though on my personal routes, a lot of the bus numbers have changed, the routes have changed. So I grew up on GRTC my entire life, so I experienced all of the changes back from when I was younger into the present day, and I feel that more changes are coming for GRTC in the near future.
Thank you. Here, I'll pause it.
That was awesome, Keon. Thank you so much for your feedback. All right, and I want to give a shout out to Elle from Chesapeake Climate Action Network. She has been a partner, a help in collecting stories. So you'll hear a lot of her interviews. She does it so well getting to know people. So thank you and shouts out to Elle. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to Mabel. 28th and U. I talked with Mabel in Church Hill. So let's listen to Mabel.
My name is Mabel Smith, and I ride the 12. And it's convenient for me because sometimes I might not get transportation, and I think I would like for it to stay free, yeah.
Okay, so we have so many comments from Zero Fare, and I still would encourage you to visit our website under the Writer's Voice to hear this bucket of comments. All right, and let's move on. So better bus stop. So this is Uzella again in Churchill. I met Uzella in front of the Family Dollar on 25th Street. There was a new shelter just installed by Bon Secours sponsorship in that area. And so Uzella and I had a conversation about the impact that it had on her that day.
I catch the 1B, and my name is Uzella Thomas, and I catch the 1B. I live over Southside in the high rise over there, and I catch the 1B, and we don't have no shelter, nothing like this over there, and that's a high rise to older people, and a lot of us older people who walk with canes and stuff like that, and we had a shelter, we have somewhere to sit while we waiting on the bus and stuff, and it's not just for the young people, it's for us older people too, and then there, as hot as it's getting now, we need to have some kind of shelter to keep us from out the sun for as long as it take the bus to come. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's all I got to say. But yeah, it's really needed. It's really needed.
Okay, let's move on to Cornelius. Now, Cornelius, I met him in front of 25th and S. This bus stop has received a lot of complaints when it comes to loitering, people sitting out, and I believe the shelter was removed. And so I met Cornelius, and it was a group of gentlemen sitting along a stoop. And it was a very hot day. That day I was passing out bottles of water, Elle and I, because it was extremely hot. And so we met Cornelius that day.
My name is Cornelius Anthony Solomon. And the reason I think it will be a bus shelter because a whole lot of people out here really don't be catching the bus, they be homeless. And it's the only shed that we have. We don't bother nobody or, we're not violenting no one. We just want some shelter. And I would appreciate it if anyone could get us some help.
All right, and Churchill as well. This is Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Roseman, more shelters. I would take at least the two sides and have a screen so you can get more air circulation in when it's cool. You could always cover it with glass or plastic during the winter, cut down on wind. Most of the drivers are courteous, but occasionally they can be a bit obnoxious, but it's rare. It's rare.
All right, and this is a young woman that I met in front of the Supreme Court of Appeal right there on Broad and 11th, right across from MCV. There is an overpass. There is no shelter. There's a lot of benches, maybe about 3 benches in that area because there's a lot of transit and traffic that goes through there, but there is no shelter. And her and I were sort of in the foyer or the opening foyer of the Supreme Court of Appeal because that's where you can get the most shade. And this is her comment. Oh, let me try that again.
So can you tell me what line you take? I take the 7A, 7B, the 91, and the Pulse on the regular. And can you tell me a little bit about this stop and why you think it's important that it should have a shelter? As you can see, it's pretty hot out here. A lot of days, the sun is extremely hot, and like ma'am over here in the shade, trying to keep a little cool, a little warm. But I'm also when it's snowing or raining, it would be good to have a shelter to cover you at least. I think would be good, and then we will be moving this area also, but we'll be in a safe area, where we're protected from the sun, or from the rain, or from the snow, or the sleet, or what have you. But I think it would be great to have that. Yes. The 7A and 7B, they somewhat come on a regular, but I know the 91 comes every hour, which is not good. So you're standing in the heat for an hour, the sun, or either you're in the freezing cold or the rain for an hour, which is really bad. But we make do. We're grateful and thankful to have a bus at least, at all. But yeah, it's really bad with the 91. I know. Tell me about Zero Fair. How has that impacted? It has really been a blessing, to be honest. It really has been a blessing because a lot of people have lost jobs, as you know, and a lot of people are struggling to pay the bills, trying to catch up with the bills, and then of course with the situation with unemployment, not coming to a lot of people. So, a lot of people losing a lot of stuff, unfortunately, homes, cars, vehicles, and stuff. But with the zero fare is really a blessing right now to everyone, I believe. Yes, and much needed, much needed. Yes. Any other feedback you would like to give about the overall system? Yes, they need to clean it. The buses are filthy. We have urine, fecal matter, we have blood, we have trash, we have bugs, And yes, the homeless is a problem. They need somewhere to go, but they need mental health. You know what I mean? And you can't blame them to want to get out of the cold, out of the hot sun. But they also need food and shelter, to help them get stable. Because once you meet their needs, which the money is here, they're gonna be on the buses. But it's not their problem that the buses are filthy. The buses are really filthy and they need to be wiped and cleaned on a daily basis. Not to mention the seats. I'd be afraid to sit in the seats a lot myself. And that's true. I go home, take clothes off, take baths, whatever. But I'm thankful and grateful, but they really need to clean the seats and clean the buses because that can help us get sick. Thank you. Thank you.
She was hopping on her bus right then and there. I didn't, unfortunately, was unable to catch her name, but very strong comments from her. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. And let's move to North-South BRT. So there's talk right now of a possible pulse line running either Hall Street, Midlothian, or Route 1. Recently, I worked with the Greater Washington Partnership, John over there, in collecting information and people's preference, whether a line should run either on those 3 options. And so these are some of the comments that we received from people who were at points where folks who use north-south routes usually congregate the most. And so I'll share some of those comments and feedback with you now. And this is Arminta.
So we are working on with GRTC in the city of Richmond and Chesterfield in Orango County to learn more about what riders like and what riders dislike about the pulse line on Broad Street and what they would like or dislike if a similar line came to their community. Now, can you tell me, how did the Pulse on Broad Street change your experience riding the bus?
Well, I can't really tell you about the Pulse because I don't ride it.
Okay.
Because I'm new down here. I just moved down here about 2 years ago, so I really don't know anything about the Pulse. I haven't experienced that yet, but I plan on experiencing it because I want to go abroad and see what's further up that way.
So look, if JRTC did create something like the Pulse, north and south, would you prefer it be on Hall Street, Midlothian, or Route 1?
I prefer it be on Hall Street and Midlothian.
And Midlothian?
And
Tell
Midlothian.
me why?
Because I live on Midlothian.
Okay.
And I would like to see it there.
Can you tell me what type of impact it would have on you if the bus ran every 15 minutes?
Oh, a great impact. But I don't mind waiting on the bus because I like it, you know.
Can you tell me some?
Because I don't have a vehicle right now, and I have to get to my job and get to doctor's appointments and everything like that, and shopping.
And can you tell me what would be some hardest things about catching a bus right now, or even some positive things?
Well, my positive things, it get me to where I got to go. I don't care if it's late. I don't care if it's early. I'll just sit there and wait. Like this morning, I was walking down the street and the bus just went on by me. I waited 30 minutes later for the next bus. I don't mind it. I don't mind. It's great for me.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Armenta, for that comment. All right, so let's move over to Southside Plaza. Here's another transfer point where a lot of activity going north and southbound into Chesterfield and into the city of Richmond. So let's hear from this unknown person.
Okay, cool. All right, so can you tell me the experience catching the Pulse?
It's cool and all, you know. I get there A and B, and I get there in a good timing. So you know, and they do their thing. So I think it's good.
All right.
Sometimes they do come a little late, but you know, they make up for it a little bit.
That's perfect. Now, can you tell me, would you prefer a Pulse to run up and down Hall Street, or Lothian, or Route 1?
I believe Hall Street, because Hall Street is a lot of, you know, at times we need some people to come into times to bring us here. And we have hard times with people trying to like get times to pick people to work. So, you know, the shifts and stuff like that. So I feel like if it was a post right here, it just be flexible. It just all the time, you know, everybody just like on Broad Street.
So why do you catch the bus?
Because I need to go somewhere. I don't wait for people.
So where are you going? You going to work?
I'm going the A to Z.
A to Z. Well, tell me this. Is there something you can change about the current way the buses run? What would it be?
Just respect them. I guess that's all you need to do. Because, I mean, it's free right now. So, you know, respect them at least.
I appreciate that. That's
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you for your feedback.
Respect. Awesome words. Okay, let's move over to James.
Do you mind if I record this?
No, I don't, but I ain't got a whole lot of information, but sure.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I know that would be a good thing versus the 20 to 30 minutes and every 15 minutes.
Right.
So yeah, I'm all for that. So where do I sign up? Is there a petition of sort to sign? I don't.
Well, you're actually doing it right now.
I am.
What I'm doing is collecting feedback, stories, and experience, but also impact.
Yeah.
And we're just wanting to know would it make sense for that line to run on Hall Street, Midlothian, on Route 1? What would be your first?
Ooh, that is a good one because all those are busy. All of them are business oriented. So let's say, I think we know we have more businesses more or less on Midlothian than, let's say, Jefferson Davis or Hall Street. But there are businesses there too. So it's people with jobs, people that need to get to work. So I guess the demand is just as high, but I think Midlothian would win them out hands down for that route to be.
All right, Midlothian. I had a lot of fun talking with James. He was a lot of fun, and he was even interested in collecting feedback and stories for the writer's voice. So I'm looking forward to working with James. All right, and here's Gianna.
That's fine. That's good.
So do you catch the pulse?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me your experience about catching the pulse? What you like? What could be better?
Pretty much. I like catching the bus because it gets me to where I gotta get to, and then of course with the buses being free right now, you know, it's good transportation getting back and forth to those places that you need to really reach. Um, my experience of catching a pulse, it has been good experiences, but it also been bad. The only thing I could say that needs to be better with the pulse is that it needs to be clean more. The buses need to be clean more. But other than that, the bus drivers do a pretty good job getting me to where I got to get to. Do I think a bus should go up Hall Street, Midlothian? I think it should go up Hall Street because Hall Street is a long route. And say, for instance, there's people that may have a car, but they want to get out here to the places they got to get to. Instead of driving their car all the time, they can catch the bus from Hall Street and get to those places. Hall Street is a very long road. So I also think it should be a bus going to Mechanicsville, me personally. You got a Walmart out there. You got good things out there, just as well as you got good things out there in Short Pump. You got good things out in Stony Point. You have a bus to go to Stony Point, a bus to go to Short Pump, and you also have a bus, you know, that goes to Midlothian. But there should be a bus to go to Mechanicsville. My suggestion. So
you mentioned a little bit about zero fares. Can you elaborate on the impact that it's having on you?
Well, to me, it's pretty much of a blessing because I didn't have to pay any money, any bus fare. Um, we've been pretty much free for like 2 years. So it's a pretty good impact. I can save money. Um, it's a blessing that God has touched the hearts of the bus drivers to drive for free. Not drive for free, but they still get paid. But during this pandemic, it's a dangerous time to be driving, but they still choose to help out, you know, individuals. So I thank God and I praise God personally for that gift and that blessing. So yes. I gotta catch the 2B.
Right near Mechanicsville, is there any other lines that you can think of that it should run?
See, me personally, we talked about Midlothian, which is Chesterfield. It would be awesome. I believe they may have a bus to go out there, but I believe it would be awesome for a bus to go to Chesterfield. Kind of deeper in Chesterfield Town Center. Personally, because they're good jobs out there, good opportunities if you want to get a good job or get into a certain field. They're good schools, community schools out there. If you want to go back to school and college, just like we got J. Sargent Reynolds over here, we got nice opportunities over there as well. They pay pretty much better over there. So my two suggestions right now is Chesterfield and Mechanicsville.
A wealth of knowledge, young lady. What type of work do you do?
Oh, I'm a food server by trade. I work in a senior home, Heritage Oaks. Yeah, so I've been there for about.
Very essential. We appreciate you.
Wow, thank you, Gianna, for those comments. And thank you for the work that you do. So I'll move on to our next bucket and general concern. So this is just conversation. You may hear a little bit of everything in these comments or these interviews. So I'll start them right now. And this is Martin in front of the Southside Plaza. I shared his story before. This is a gentleman who was a single dad who was on the bus for about 3 hours getting back and forth. And so he had missed some time of work because he was back and forth on the bus. So this is another part of our conversation.
You know what I'm saying? You're not walking. It's great that they provide transportation. And I understand the bus drivers try hard, but and another thing is mainly, like if you come to a bus stop, there are times. If they're not there on time, if you miss a bus, then you're waiting another 30 minutes or so for the next, or an hour, because some of these buses only run once an hour. You know, so that's pretty hard too. If you're not there on time, or if a bus is running early and you just missed it, you know, you have to wait 30 minutes to an hour for the next bus, and that puts you behind tremendously. I don't know what really. I can go on about them, but I mean they're helpful, but it's hard.
Can you give me an idea of what impact would it be if the 86 went to Chesterfield?
Well, see, the only 86 only comes from here. It only comes from here and goes to Broad Rock and Wamsley. But see, we used to live off of Wamsley. And if they look at Wamsley Boulevard, the people who live in the middle of Wamsley Boulevard have to walk to either catch the 86 or they have to walk in the other direction a long ways to get to the Jeff Davis bus. There should be a bus that runs, that connects you from one end all the way to the other end, so people don't have to get off and walk a good mile. You're stuck in the middle. You have to walk. I can't say the mileage, but you have to walk a long ways to get either or. There's nobody. There should be a bus that runs straight through all the way down, so you can get off and transfer. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. I mean, I don't.
Thank you, Martin. And let's go to Lewis in Willow Lawn.
Okay, we are good to go. So,
All right. Yeah, my name's Lewis. Usually ride the 79 going to 3 Chapel Patterson, but I noticed that on the weekends now they've cut off that route completely. It doesn't run on the weekends. So what about the low-income people who live out near Regency? They're stuck. You know, some people live in hotels and they have no way, so they have to relocate. You know, to routes like Route 19 and stuff like that. But, and 77, what's up with 77 going from VCU to U of R? Every time I've ridden that line, there's nobody on the bus.
Right.
Why are they wasting fuel, even if it is natural gas?
right.
You know, it's just a waste of energy.
I guess where would you like to see if
Back on its old route.
Back on
you
its
know?
old route.
Yeah, I mean, it seems when it was on the old route of Patterson and Three Chapel, you know, wherever it turned around, it was always full, or there was people riding. But now there's no one riding. I don't understand that thinking. If the students are supposed to ride, students usually all have cards. I've never seen students. Well, you see VCU students on the bus going to MCV, you know, but that's it.
But you
Other
won't
than
see U
that,
of R kids riding.
no, you don't see U of R kids riding the bus.
Right.
No, not at all. Not future lawyers and whatever they're going to be, politicians. Absolutely not. You know, but you know, it makes no sense to me. You know how they, you know. What about the weekends? That's the main thing. You know, that they need to look out for people on the weekends. Sometimes they cut off at 7. You know, some people work late. You know, and it don't make any sense. So you know, I'd like to see that go out further to Enrico. I may understand that. You know, it's sometimes the neighborhoods don't want low-income people coming through their neighborhoods on the weekends. I don't know. You know, but that's what I've noticed. So.
Yeah, I'm curious about what your experience has been. I'm not sure how long you've been a rider for, but the recent like fare free aspect because of COVID. Like how has that changed or not changed your rides? Or I mean, I'm not sure how long you're riding
some
for.
people are taking advantage of it. I think some of the, you know, they're trying to, you know, keep the homeless off, you know, from riding around and that type of thing. And sometimes I've missed, you know, like you fall asleep and you miss getting off on your stop. And then the drivers are really nasty about, you know, it's like, look, you know, just go back around and take me back. And they're like, no, you have to get off. And I'm like, look, do I look homeless? Maybe I do, you know, but you know, it's just rude the way they speak to the riders, you know. Yeah, some people make mistakes. Sure, I've done it many times. You know, you're tired from a day's work, and you just miss your mark. And you have to go back around. You got to go back anyway. But when they force you to get off because it's policy, and some people have good control of the ridership, and other people do not. You know, they just want to be in control here. With all the political stuff going on in Richmond, I think some of that is rubbing off on the drivers. And I can understand I've seen some rough times on the bus where, you know, you get the mentally ill and, you know, people that have problems, you know, on the bus. And sometimes the drivers don't know how to respond, but a lot of them do. I think most of them are well trained, because sometimes you do get a situation where it can be dangerous. But a lot of times there's riders that will jump in, pitch in to help. You know, I've seen that happen too. I've been riding for at least 20 years. You know, and even when I do have cars, I like riding the bus sometimes.
Right.
Wow. So it's encouraging to hear riders stepping in to assist bus drivers. One of the things that I've learned is that could be, I guess, a threat to zero fare is the challenge when it comes to dealing with the homeless and the mentally ill. And one thing I'm encouraging or wanting to foster is partnerships with advocacy groups centered around those services. Because as you can imagine how challenging it is for a bus driver to be not only driving the bus, but also dealing with a situation like that. All right, so let's move on to Claudette in White Oak Mall.
The 7, 8, and 7 Pine bus back on 23rd and Jefferson, because I used to have to walk over 2 blocks over to Marshall and catch the 7, 8, and 7B. So that was very comfortable. They did that, you know, they put the bus station, they made the bus, you know, stop back right there on 23rd Jefferson. So that was a plus. I'm glad they had that bus back because I live right across the street from it, from the bus stop.
So Claudette is grateful for some expansions and some add-ons back to the line in front of her home. Here's Wayne from Southside Plaza.
Excellent. So can I get your name once more?
Wayne.
And what bus line do you ride most frequently?
Most frequently, the Hall Street going downtown past MCV, or either the Midlothian sometimes. I also catch the Broad Rock bus that goes to Walmsley. I also catch the 111 sometimes.
And where are you usually taking the bus to? Are you going to and from work, grocery store, doctors?
Well, you can say that because a lot of the times I'm running to get things for me and my mother. My mother, she's 83 now, and she needs 24-hour care.
Oh yeah.
So.
And I imagine
it's definitely convenient and whatnot. I can hop on, hop off, and be back in no time.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. How long have you been living in Richmond, riding the bus for?
Oh, wow, I've been in Richmond all my life.
Heck yeah.
So that'd be 54 years
and
whatnot. Started catching the bus with my father at a young age. He would catch it to work, we would catch it to church, just to get around town, different stores, different locations. It's been a blessing, especially now during this epidemic and whatnot that we're going through, and they still continue to run, still continue to get. They definitely got my support in whatever they need to do.
Yeah, I'm wondering how, because GRTC went fare free for the pandemic. How has that impacted or changed, your life?
Oh, it continued to help it because without it, a lot of the things that me and my mother might needed or wanted, we probably would not really been able to get until later instead of sooner. So I'm definitely grateful for all that.
No, that is awesome to hear. We're trying really hard to, a lot of these testimonies will be used to continue to advocate to keep it fare free forever, ideally. So that way, it is a public service and it should be taking care of all of us. I'm going to run through, there are a couple of proposed extensions, and I just want to hear which would make the most sense. So they're of their, top priorities, there is extending the 86 into Chesterfield, extending the 85 to the Chesterfield Government Office, and extending the 1A to the Chesterfield Town Center. And I'm wondering if any of those would have an impact on these are just the ones that are on the south, going. If any of those would have an impact on your life, or which would have more of one, or if none of those are would really affect you, which ones would you prefer to be extended or coming more frequently?
Definitely the 86 going out to Chesterfield, yes. So that way I can get to better places, Sometimes you do want to get out might not want to drive. Very easy, very convenient.
Right.
So I definitely think that would be a plus for us around this area.
Yeah, and I guess are there any lines that you would wish come more frequently? Have you ever been like stranded at the bus? You know, you missed the bus, then you gotta wait for about an hour or so, or anything along those lines?
This might be about a 40-minute wait sometimes, but you really don't mind nowadays because you're getting a chance to get out and just relax.
Right.
And
Yeah.
whatnot. So the frequency is good, especially, they know when to put more buses on the line. When people going to or either from work when you have to get there much quicker. So that's a plus. Or if it's slow during the day, yeah, cut back.
And Wayne's comment is definitely going to be used for the public comments that GRTC put out when it regards to the different expansion projects that are up and coming. And so thank you, Wayne, for your feedback. And last, I'm just going to play Stevie, and this will be our last one for today.
So why are you taking the bus, Mr. Thornton?
I'm headed to the gym to get my workout in, but I'm a bodybuilder and a personal trainer.
Okay.
And a lot of the bus drivers I know me because I went to school, former teammates were from my high school and stuff. And and I'm a retired truck driver for over 30 years. Okay. So I don't mind catching the bus, and it gets a little fresh air out here. Yeah.
What else do you take the bus for?
This bus going to the store back and forth, and ever since the pause bus kind of helped all that, because it changed the whole format of routes for a lot of the buses to go without short pump and everything now, and you can catch that bus pause all day long. I think the cutoff time like 12, a little after 12, 1 o'clock I think it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So you like the bus to be running a little later than average.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your feedback.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I encourage you guys to listen again to these comments and stories, and also just be following the Writer's Voice, our page, and look for more postings. And I just want to encourage you to take action from what you heard today. Some of the ways you can do that is volunteer and partner like Elle has. We're collecting stories. Also, you can write op-eds and different editorials from what you heard today to bring more awareness. Joe mentioned our Better Bus Stop opportunity. You can sponsor benches and shelters to help with infrastructure around our area, but you can also adopt a stop. Some of the comments from Gianna and our other Writer's Voice mentioned that some of the stops need to be cleaned. So you can help us do that. Also, when it comes to zero fare, reach out to your representative and share your thoughts on this front. And then also the comments that Keon and Martin made about frequency, buses not showing on time, is a key factor in making sure we even have bus operators. So there's a shortage right now, and some of those issues could be solved in the event of new hires. So if you or anyone you know could be interested in being an operator, we recommend that. And so what I'll do is I'll turn it back over to Joe. I did see a little questions or comments in the question box, but I don't know, but I'll turn it back over to you, Joe.
Sure. Okay, so honestly, Maria has a very good question in the question box. She says, it would be helpful to know more about why GRTC is having challenges hiring. Is it that folks aren't applying, aren't qualified? Are there hurdles that make it harder for folks to apply? So if Faith, I don't know if you have an answer to that question, or if we should chat with our friends at GRTC and get back.
I think we should chat with our friends at GRTC. I think Carrie's on here. I'd love to open it up for her to express that. I know she's campaigning right now for more bus operators. Carrie, are you available to answer that?
I think she may have hopped off, but we'll follow up, Maria and Jake. I see you have a comment also related to hiring drivers. So yeah, we'll follow up with Carrie and GRTC, and we'll get back to y'all. But those are great questions. I think just generally, GRTC is certainly not alone in having hiring challenges. I know even at my job at RAR, we had a listing that was very difficult to fill. We just aren't getting the same amount of applications that we did even 2-3 years ago. I think there are a lot of factors going into it, but like I said, we'll chat with GRTC and get back on that. With that, I do want to thank Faith for giving us such a great window into what riders are experiencing, and we appreciate all the work that you and Al have been doing to help amplify those stories, the experiences, and the concerns. So thank you. Upcoming transit talks. Our next transit talk will be Thursday, October 28th at noon. And this one we'll be unveiling our first annual State of Transit report. So I am just as curious to see it as y'all are. So I will already have it on my calendar. That's October 28th at noon. And then Faith noted a lot of ways for folks to get involved. But I also just want to do my board duty and highlight that you can always provide the crucial support for RVA Rapid Transit's work through a tax-deductible donation at rvarapidtransit.org/donate. That's rvarapidtransit.org/donate. And if you're not already on our email list, you can keep in touch with everything we are up to by signing up. Again, rvarapidtransit.org. And we won't flood your inbox, but we will give you the essentials. So thanks again for being here. And we will do a follow-up email when the recording is on the YouTube channel. Thanks again, and y'all be safe out there.